back with more internet hacktivist vigilante antics today. I love to see it. I knew I was gonna get super into this video because I'm so intrigued by Anonymous, and after doing all the research, I'm almost starstruck. They're the heroes we need in a time like this, people who fight for justice in ways that aren't violent, they're just simply effective. This list is wild. What is up, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host, Ayman Hassan, and welcome back to another video. Now before we dive deep into this video, just a reminder to go check out our comedy channel, Top 10 Central, and have a laugh with us. I'm usually just sharing a bunch of disturbing things with you guys, so that's a new side of me that you will love. Either way, these are the top 10 scary anonymous hacks part 2. Starting us off with number 10 is Operation Free Korea. Now I feel like the list of reasons why North Korea is problematic as hell is very extended. The fact it's basically an authoritarian socialist country, there's a complete lack of freedom, you're not allowed to leave, the sky-high levels of censorship, and who could forget the high levels of poverty, famine, and human rights abuses, which is absolutely ridiculous. In April of 2013, IT webzine BGR published an article detailing how Anonymous started Operation Free Korea. They called for Kim Jong-un to resign, for a free democracy to be followed, for North Korea to abandon its nuclear ambitions, and launch uncensored internet access. They went as far as to say if North Korea didn't agree to their conditions, they were going to launch a cyber war, and they did. Anonymous were not lying. They went and stole 15,000 user passwords and hacked into the originated website and their affiliated Flickr and Twitter pages. Originated, and sorry if I'm not saying that right, I know I'm not, it is a state-controlled news website just for your reference, so you know what I'm talking about. The group posted a Photoshop picture of Kim with a pig snout and a Mickey Mouse drawing on his chest on their Flickr page. The caption read, "Threatening world peace with ICBMs and nuclear weapons / wasting money while his people starve to death." Obviously the operation didn't yield the results the group was looking for, but I appreciate someone having the balls to actually do something about North Korea. Like, what the hell is that? What is going on? Coming in at number 9 is the Steubenville case. Back in August of 2012, a 16-year-old girl that went to Steubenville High School was drunk at a party and was later publicly and repeatedly sexually assaulted by her peers. The whole act was then posted on social media. On the night in question, the girl left one party with a group of football players and she had already vomited and was clearly super out of it. They then transported her to another party and then left 10 minutes later. In the backseat of the car, Trent Mays undressed and assaulted her while his friends filmed it. They then took her to the basement of a house and Malik Richmond did the same thing while being photographed. The duo then went back to the party to share the photos they had just taken. Peers then tried to cover up the act and defend them by saying the girl had just passed out in the basement and nobody knows what happened to her. Anonymous got heat on the case that December and thought it was completely unacceptable, like no NightSec, a subsidiary group of Anonymous, demanded an apology from local authorities and school officials who tried protecting the football team. By January, the group had hacked and uncovered videos of the rape as well as the crew that were involved all just joking around. They even got hold of hundreds of texts and emails from the adults involved in the cover-up. The trial resulted in Mays and Richmond getting 2 and 1 years in prison respectively, and the head coach of the football team was also charged with lying to the grand jury, tampering with evidence, and the obstruction of justice. He was only given 90 days in jail. Everyone has since been released, but I think this is shocking. Like, how can you watch this happen to an innocent girl and watch it happen? That's just disgusting. Like, I'm appalled. At number 8, we have Operation Hong Kong. Back in 2014, there were a series of sit-in street protests in Hong Kong, also referred to as the Umbrella Revolution. The protests were caused due to the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress making a decision regarding reforms to the Hong Kong electoral system. The decision was highly restrictive since it meant the Communist Party would have to pre-screen all the candidates, which meant they would only greenlight people that would not go against the party's interests. The ongoing contention between Hong Kong and China makes that difficult as hell. The protests would peak at 100,000 people at any given time, which made it quite hard to contain. Because of that, the Hong Kong government used police force against the protesters. That led to Anonymous getting involved and posting a video addressing the government of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. They fully condemned the police's use of force against the protesters and fully supported the latter's plight for democracy. They promised to attack all web-based assets of the HK government if any more protesters were harmed or harassed. harassed. By October, the group had taken over company websites in Hong Kong, but their government claimed otherwise, saying everything was working perfectly fine and that they were prepared for hackers. But we also know China's not always honest with things that go on, so who's really telling the truth? Filling at number 7 slot is Guy Fawks. This case was actually one of Anonymous's earliest and hugely publicized wins. Back in 2007, the group were on the tail of many individuals who were or had any interest in kids whatsoever. Amongst that storm, they started going after 53-year-old Guy Fawks. The man was charged with 2 counts of trying to lure children under the age of 14, possessing a dangerous weapon, attempted exposure, and attempted. The global television network credited Anonymous for the arrest since they were the ones that contacted the police after some of their own members were propositioned by FORCAND with him sending nudes. This was the first time in history a predator was correctly arrested due to internet vigilantism. Woohoo! Vigilantism! We love it! Now at number 6 is Operation Orlando. Back in June of 2011, the hacktivist group was horrified to find out members of Food Not Bombs were arrested. The vegetarian/vegan collective operate on the belief that governments and corporations are so caught up in other matters that they let hunger persist despite having an abundance of food. Food Not Bombs were feeding the homeless in Lake Yola Park despite the feeding ban enforced in Florida, which led to a lot of their members being arrested. Wow, imagine getting arrested for feeding the homeless. What world we live in. Now in response, Anonymous took down websites like the Florida Chamber of Commerce, Orlando International Airport, and hacked into the Universal Orlando Resort website, filling its webpage with Boycott Orlando and requesting users to do the same. Anonymous announced their attack on their IRC channel and promised to take Orlando-related websites offline every day. They even targeted the re-election website of Buddy Dyer, the mayor of Orlando. One member left their symbolic Guy Fawks mask outside the mayor's house, which police treated as a threat against him. By July, they also took down the websites of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Orlando as well as the Rotary Club. God damn, never come after Anonymous. Coming in at number 5 is Operation BART. BART, aka Bay Area Rapid Transit, not yellow spiky head kid from The Simpsons. Back in July of 2011, 2 BART police officers shot and killed 47-year-old Charles Hill at Civic Center Station located in San Francisco. Apparently Hill had been carrying a knife and that's why they shot him. A few weeks later, BART shut down all cell phone services on their network for 3 hours to try and prevent protests against the shooting and to hamper communication between protesters. In response, members of Anonymous hacked into BART's website and released 102 officers' names, addresses, numbers, and more on their website. They also sent out a mass email bomb to BART employees and organized a bunch of mass physical protests at the Civic Center Station. At number 4 is Occupy Nigeria. Back in 2012, a socio-political protest movement erupted and it was dubbed Occupy Nigeria. As Africa's largest oil producer, the protest was triggered by the removal of subsidies on petroleum products, a 120% price increase of petrol, poverty, government corruption, and more. As most of the population lives on less than $2 a day, the one benefit of importing so much petrol was it being cheap for citizens. The price went from 65 naira per litre to 141. Protesters involved formed human chain barriers along the highway and shut down petrol stations. The country's main trade unions also went on an indefinite strike and refused to come back to work until the removal of the fuel subsidy was reversed. In solidarity with the movement, Anonymous teamed up with the Niger cyber hacktivists of Nigeria as well as the People's Liberation Front. They promised citizens a relentless and devastating assault upon the web assets of the Nigerian government. The group hacked the Nigerian Economic and Financial Crimes Commission website and put a false report of the arrest of people in the oil sector as the homepage instead. We love to see hacktivists. I feel like I want to be one. I feel like maybe if I just talk about them enough, I will be one. Filling at number 3 set are the pro-Taiwan hacks. Now, if you're unaware, China functions on a one China policy and wants the world to believe and view it as such. That view means China controls Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, and the PRC refused to have any diplomatic relations with any countries that recognize the 3 aforementioned places as independent states. Now, the countries have struggled to gain independence from the Chinese government for a very long time due to China being a unitary party socialist state. So in Feb of this year, Anonymous hacked the UN website and created Taiwan's own page since the country hasn't had a seat at the UN since 1971. The page included the flag of the Republic of China, which was formerly Taiwan. They included a Taiwan independence flag, the Chinese National Party's emblem, which is Taiwan's main political party, the Anonymous logo, and more. They went full out. They then carried out identical hacks on the World Health Organization's page and also included a bunch of pages that featured Anonymous videos videos of Taiwanese people showing how China had broken so many treaties. Anonymous then went further and hacked multiple Chinese governmental websites and put pictures of the presidents of the Republic of China on them. They claimed they had enough knowledge that they could retake mainland China. They were not screwing around with this one, go you. Now at number 2 is the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement. After the devastating murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis by the hands of armed police officers and the huge public response that followed, Anonymous felt the outrage and turmoil on a deep level. 3 days after his murder, the group made a video announcement about a massive hacking sequence about to come, and they promised to expose the endless list of crimes of the Minneapolis Police Department to the entire world. Soon after the video went viral, the city of Minneapolis went offline, as did the police department's website. Multiple online forums started circulating a list of 800 email addresses and passwords that had been stolen from the police department. And finally, at number 1 is Operation OUROBOROS. The Westboro Baptist Church is one that functions on inflammatory hate speech, I kid you not. The church literally hates everyone. They're against people in the LGBTQIA+ community. They despise Catholics, Jews, atheists, Muslims, US soldiers, and politicians. I'm not even sure they like anyone but themselves. The hate group's official website URL is godhatesf.com, so that should really tell you all you need to know about them. Over the years, the church launched a bunch of protests. For example, in 2004 they did anti-gay picketing, in 96 they protested against Jewish institutions, in 2013 they protested the second inauguration of Obama, claiming he was literally the Antichrist. In Feb of 2011, Anonymous wrote a letter to the church saying, "Cease and desist your protest campaign in the year 2011. Close your public websites. Should you ignore this warning, the propaganda and detestable doctrine that you promote will be eradicated. The damage incurred will be irreversible, and neither your institution nor your congregation will ever be able to fully recover." The church responded by calling them a puddle of pimple-faced nerds, and based on the series we know that'd be a powerful group of nerds. The group then publicized how they hadn't actually made that threat since their page was editable by anyone, and that was most likely a member of the church wanting to provoke an attack. They did, however, share many tactics to the public on how to attack the church if people wanted to. This led to hacktivist Jester bring down the church's website. And that is it for today's video, guys. I felt like a news broadcaster through the whole of that video. I hope I enrich you guys with the knowledge that you guys need to stay woke, always keep learning. As always, I'm your host Eamon Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!